Well, good morning, everybody in Europe. It's 9 o'clock on Sunday night, your time. I wonder how many people were wondering where we were. Part of the course. We've changed the times now to 9 o'clock in the morning here in Auckland in New Zealand, and that makes it an hour later than normal. So we're behind the game a little bit, but we're back, and the times are going to change on a few things, and we should have a very current tracker in a minute because usually they roll over a few minutes after 9 or something. So because UTC, it's an hour difference to what we've got here. Fun watching the tweets. I'm just laughing at some of the tweets coming in, the different timeline perspectives of the crew on board. And so if you're not watching the tweets on Twitter, you can actually, or X or whatever it's called, you can actually watch them on Facebook, of course, right here, and they're worth a fun thing. Explorer sadly has got an issue with their phone, their sat phones. They can't send SMSs, which is part of the reason you're not seeing a lot come up. They can send them on the YB3, which is not using a generic keyboard, which makes it longer and harder for them to send. So they'll come through occasionally. They can use their satellite phone to make phone calls, but they just can't do the tweets. And they only get one chance a week to do those calls. So that's what's going on there. And the rest of it's all okay. So I think we'll go straight to the tracker here. And if I hit that again, I'll come up in the bottom of the screen. So there you go. Those that want to see me can. And if I come over here, I'm now on the tracker. Get rid of that, build it up a little bit here, and plenty going on at this end of the world. You can see Penduic now just going across the top of King Island, which is good for them. They'll see something, although it'll be night time there now. No, it's not daytime. What am I talking about? With this end of the world, yeah. So they've actually, at least they've got to see something, and they've got headwinds, so they won't be happy with that. Translated down there, everyone's got good breeze. So we'll come back to that after we come down the very back of the fleet here and look at the Explorer getting left behind by Sterner, which is kind of interesting. And my first reaction to that, first of all, they've got great sailing conditions here, which is really impressive. Sterner's doing 9.7, which is absolutely flying, and Explorer's doing 8.6. So they're 1 knot behind them, and I'm thinking, what's causing that? Well, Explorer doesn't have their big number one Genoa. They lost that just out from Cape Town, so they're using a Yankee up there, which is a high-cut Yankee, and the staysail. In these breezes where it's coming behind, they'll be probably poling out a headsail. Not sure whether they'd be running an asymmetric spinnaker there. Why is that not coming down? Here it goes. And they've got a special pole, a short pole, to pole out the staysail as well. So you've got sort of twins poled out. It's very powerful for heavy downwind. No idea what they've got up at the moment, but anyway, they're doing 8.6, as I said, 188-mile day. So that's not too bad. Sterner, on the other hand, did 201 nautical miles. 9.7. I'm thinking, what's causing that? And I thought, let's better have a look at the currents. So when we come down here and look at the currents, and it's sort of a bit of bingo. That explains the story there, because we're still in the big picture. It's just you've got the Agulhas current way back, but here's the Agulhas area. You've got this one big python snake coming through the middle of the Indian Southern Ocean here, and Sterner have hit it right on the button a couple of times. And then also, I didn't notice this the other day when they were coming through here. Again, they were moving much faster than Explorer, but they also had a different wind angle, different wind slant. But that's huge. They're in this current for 150 miles. And when you get into the whites here, it's 2 to 3 knots. So that could have added 30 odd miles to their 30 miles or more to their daily run. And then the same here, if you look at this one, that's bordering on close to 2 knots. And they've been in that now for nearly 4 hours. There's 40 miles. So, so that's another 4 hours. There's another 10 miles there. So it's been a big kick. And Explorer, if they're lucky, if they keep heading down there, they might get a kick there as well. But the good news is the wind is behind in the same direction as the current, so the sea state will be pretty reasonable. But it's good news for Sterner, and they're slowly making progress towards Auckland. Let's see what the cloud cover is. Yeah, they've had clear sky, so they know where they are. There's a bit of sunshine there. And waves there should be pretty mild. Yep, just starting to build up now. So 3 to 4 meters maybe. And The wind, Explorer's got 25 to 28, gusting to 35, and Stern has got about the same at the moment. So all good conditions. And what's it going to look like in the next couple of days for them? We'll just push this through pretty quickly. So all good sailing, basically. That's all plenty of nice breezes, all from the right direction. There's 30, gusting 40 there. That's day one. Coming into day two, they might get a stall there for 4 hours or something with no wind, and then they've got the big sou'wester comes in, bit of a front. It's forming up, and they'll be just around here at the time, but we're watching it, and it's not looking dangerous or nasty. It goes above them here. They'll be, this is on the 7th, 5th, 6th, 7th. They should be 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. They should be down around here somewhere. And we'll probably tell them to dip down a little bit further south. So we're watching it, but it's still 3 days away, so we'll worry about that later. Yeah, that's about it. So finish with them. They'll be happy for a few days. And here we go. White Shadow's taken a big dip, and I'm not sure why. It gives you the impression that they've seen something on the weather forecasting, but there is nothing coming. And so maybe they're just taking down wind, maybe, or setting up for the seas. So it's not taking down wind as much as just taking the sea at the right angle. It's suggesting here there's only 30, gusting 40, and the sea state's probably about 5 meters, maybe. Waves in here on that one. What do we got? Yeah, it's probably 5 meters. So they're probably taking it comfortably. And that's the reason they've got that particular direction. The sea state for the rest of the fleet's pretty reasonable. It's around 3 to 4, and Translator's only got a couple of meters. And same with Penjuic. They're close on the continental shelf now. So that's only a couple of meters. They'll be enjoying that. That's for sure. So just coming back here. So White Shadow now, not exactly on course, but still sailing 8.4 knots and 160-mile day. So that's pretty cool. 11th in all the classes. So Neptune, 9 knots. They'd be enjoying that. 207-mile day. That's pretty healthy and respectable. 10th in line honours, 10th in IRC, 5th in flyer class. Outlaw, 7.8 knots, 183-mile day. And good sailing, the greens there, so that's only 3 meter seas. Galliano with Secure, 8.7, 194, so they've taken a bit out of Outlaw at that stage, and then 9th in line honours, 4th in IRC, and then we've got Evrika down here. I'll get rid of that. Evrika doing 7.2, a little bit less wind, probably 20, gusting 28 or something like that. 6th in IRC, 7th in line honours, 2nd in Sayula class. L'Esprit de Keep, 7.7, 197-mile day. They're all doing just sub 200-mile days, which is good. 6th in line honours, 9th in IRC. Nothing wrong there. Enjoying the situation. And Triana, 8.2 knots. What's happening with their IRC? Still holding 2nd in IRC. So 8.2s, they're still keeping it up there. So they haven't lost any ground. 1st in adventure class for sure. Coming across to Maiden, beautiful northerly breeze there. There's a complete difference. There's the front, a mild front coming through. So it goes from a northwesterly, drops straight across to a westerly. And these boats here would have experienced that, and it's settled down now. So Maiden's still in the northerly, doing 9.3, 213-mile day. That's hooting along. That's pretty good. 9.6 for Helsinki and 228-mile day. So they've pulled away a little bit from Maiden. And that's all because of the northerlies. And Translated, not making any northing. They're still just holding their own because they know it's going to swing. Doing 8 knots, 101 nautical mile day. So they must have slowed down there for a little bit when there was this light patch here going over the top. And they're currently holding three first IRC, first line honours, and 1st in flyer class. So they'll be happy with that. So, as we suggested yesterday, everything's pretty comfortable for now. Dominated here with the high at the entrance to the Tasman Sea, and that's going to continue a bit. So we'll just roll this forward now and watch what happens. First of all, we didn't get onto Penjuic. Penjuic 6.2 knots, 89 nautical mile day. That's because they were going north quite radically, actually. So the breeze wasn't helping them. They've tacked across. I should show you that. They've tacked across now. Right on the top of King Island here, serious food producing on that island, super expensive and super exclusive. So lots of good stuff. But anyway, they're holding high, 6.2 knots. They've got a nice breeze, but it's on the nose. It's coming from the northeast and they're going east. So that's good enough, and it's likely to change slowly, and we'll look at that in a minute. But well and truly doing okay for now in Bass Strait. We'll come back to another one here. While we're on this, before I go into moving the weather, I'll just show you some point of view for the distance. Penduic is 1,367 miles from the top tip of New Zealand, Cape Reinga. And then there's another couple of 100 miles down the coast. Would it be? Yeah, you end up doing about another 200 miles. So if we've got 200 and 1,400, so about 1,600 miles to go. Let's see what the box says. 1,700 miles to go. Okay, so if they were getting good weather all the way through, that's a good solid week, 7 days. Now, that's simply not going to happen. They're not going to get 200-mile days every day for the next 7 days because you've got all this weather issues here. You can see it's not like the Southern Ocean with big systems just simply coming from the west to the east. So it's probably going to be more like 10 days. All right. So if I had to give you a guess at my understanding of what the ETA is, at this stage, I'd be looking at around about the 14th, about 10 days from now. Sometime on the 14th, I think we'll probably see them sail into Auckland. It's too far out to really predict that, but that's just a gut feeling. And then I'm using them as a benchmark because if we then just pull this across to translated, you've basically got the same thing. So they're neck and neck towards the finish at the moment, right? So in real terms, who's in front? In terms of line honours for the OGR line honours, it's too hard to call. But I would have to say, if I hazarded a guess, knowing what I know a little bit about the Tasman here, I'd much rather be down here than up there because you've got to work your way out of here. Whereas here, it's pretty standard process to lock onto these predominantly following breezes around the coast here. But who knows? Too hard to call. So having said all that and made ridiculous predictions, let's see what the weather's going to do. We'll put that there so you can see what's coming. So we'll now go through the first 24 hours. You can see the wind's going to go light for Penduic, but those headwinds stop. Okay, so they're just going to go light tailwinds, and this is sort of by late today. So in the next 12 hours, it's going to get okay for Penduic. For translated. Nothing stopping them. They'll be able to come up on that for a little bit once the westerly comes from behind. Because you can see these northerlies are moving away as the high pressure system here starts to shift as well. But it goes quiet. So it's quiet for translated, quiet for Penduic, but at least they'll be able to start working their way up. And I'm sure they'll pretty much do that straight away. There's something forming behind them here. For the rest of the fleet, great sailing. Just solid westerlies. They'll be boring along the run line here and making good time. So nothing's holding them up at all. And they might close the gap a little bit. This is now day 5, a day away. Translator will be on their way up here, and there's nothing to be concerned about here. That'll be nothing forecast over 30, 32 knots. I had a look at it before, so it's not a weather alert. It'll be gusting 40 in here for a bit, and that'll just push them along, and they'll have all this room to start coming up a bit, which they will do. Look at Penduic. Penduic's getting blown out of Bass Strait very quickly, so Penduic will be on a roll very quickly. This is 24 hours from now. So just to summarise Penduic, they've got headwinds for about 8 hours, and then it'll go light tailwinds, and that'll push them through. They'll keep their average speeds up okay, and then within 24 hours, bang, they've got to kick up the rear, and they'll be pushing straight out, and they'll probably just straight beeline for Cape Reinga, I reckon, at that stage, because they're following the back of that high, so that's okay. So both of them are looking pretty good. And then we go into the next day, bit of a problem. Bit of a problem for Penduic, but not too bad. I'll get specific here. Translated's going up here. The rest of the fleet's going up here. So what's happening to Penduic? Let's just have a look. So they will have got through. So this is a day and a half away. So they've probably done about 240 miles, maybe 200 and something miles. If they're lucky, they might hold in this patch of breeze here rather than just be becalmed. So let's assume they're sitting there. That's pretty reasonable to expect. And coming through, they may just well be holding this and still driving out there. So it looks a bit worse than what may develop, but it's still a bit hard to call. There's certainly not a lot there, but it looks like enough. So I think Penjuic's out free. I think they'll do okay. And meanwhile, what's happening to Translated and the others? Yep, they'll be fine. They're coming up here as well. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7, coming into 3 days out. So it's going to be a real boat race, I think. And just looking at this going forward, all of these boats back here are getting a great ride. No concerns at all. Translated will be up here. They're doing fine. Beam reaching, that's really fast. Penjuic should be okay. They'll have spinnakers up. They'll have light weather, but they'll be able to put everything up. Whereas in those winds here for Translated reaching, they'll probably reef down and going for it. They'll be blasting across here. That's on the 8th. That high is moving to the east still, so that's going through. Yeah, it looks as if it's going to be okay. They're all going to have reasonable breeze, so no big holes, that's for sure. Okay, that's enough of that lot. We'll just have a quick look at to see how the IRC changed. Here's the IRC. So Translated now is 41.1, 42.4 for Triana. So Triana is 1 day. Jeepers. Triana's picked up ground there. Triana is only 1 day and 3 hours behind Translated. That's pretty impressive. So Translated was going slow. She only did that 100 and something mile day, whereas Triana would have been hooting. So she's only a day behind. This could get really interesting if she gets a break. The IRC leadership is under threat from Triana. That's quite an achievable. It's not out of the question. Anyway, Maiden is 3.17, another day and a half behind that, and Galliana with Secure is 44. So 44, yeah, it's 2 days behind Triana. So Triana's the boat to watch there. There could be an upset. Well, you never know. It's possible. It's possible. They're sailing really well, and they've got consistent breezes. I don't need to go through all the other bits and pieces, too many mental calculations, but you can see Penjuic down there is now 45 against 41. So she's 4 days behind Translated. So I think she can just about be fair to say that it might be too hard to go for IRC for this leg. Still in the hunt for leader, though, overall leader. She's very much in the hunt. And what else is happening there? That's probably about it. So that's kind of interesting. And just remembering now what I was saying, when Translated's coming around the corner here, there's a few little fluffy bits, okay? But Triana won't get any of those fluffy bits. She's got to try and pull a day out of Translated, and there's more than enough time to do that. So Triana's the boat to watch for right now. I'm not saying they can do it, but at least it's interesting. Okay, so if I come back here now and I get rid of, no, I hit this one and I should be up there. Yep, there's me. So just check for any questions here that might have come up. Good to see you back. Yep, if you'd missed it, we've now changed the time. So this is the new time now, 9 o'clock local time in Auckland and 9 o'clock in the evening in France time. Funny part is here, we've got a TV. We don't have a TV at home. I've never had a TV at home for like the last 4 years, but there's a TV here. And here it was 9 o'clock. The phones are 9 o'clock, but on the TV, they're saying it's 8 o'clock. I can't work that out. Anyway, okay, great to see you, Don. Yeah, thanks. Francis, Isle of Wight, g'day. Christine, good morning from Auckland. Yeah, I'll see you soon, Christine. She's one of our volunteers that's coming in to help us in the selling merchandise and a few other things. Anyway, what's Penjuic doing and why? Well, she's basically going through Bass Strait. If you had followed the tracker for the last sort of week, you would have seen that some time ago, many days ago, she got forced up. She was on the wrong side of a high, so she had easterly headwinds and decided to keep cutting up. with that and ended up, she had no other option really. She was forced to go high. And then once you passed a point of no return, it's actually counterproductive to try and come back down and underneath Tassie. You want the shortest distance to New Zealand. So she's more or less, I'd say, be directed into that position where she had to make a decision. What's it going to do, this way or that way? And they're going to go through Bass Strait, which is allowed under the notice of race. So that's fine. Mark, tell us what Penduit can expect from a Tasman devil. They'll eat your cameras. Tasmanian devils are funny little things, They're little animals this big. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. And they're ultimate scavengers, and they've been hammered really badly with this facial tumours and like a cancer. And over the last 20 years, the population has been decimated. 80% are gone, something like that. I haven't looked for a while, but we were a bit involved with that many years ago. And the funniest thing I ever saw was you can go and see them in wildlife parks, and they have a concrete wall with Tassie devils, and they've got really massive jaws. They can just crunch through, or massively strong jaws. So you can crunch through anything. And the Japanese tourist was leaning over, dropped the camera. This Tassie devil just came out and get it and just crunched it to pieces. Anyway, that's what you could expect if you get it wrong. Do the boats know each other's positions? Only if they're talking on the radio. On the HF radio, there's a chat session every day, and they all get on there and they transfer weather information and their positions and things like that. They don't have to, but they do. It's a friendly thing. And the amazing thing, the entrants themselves are amazed. They say, "Oh, there's such a good vibe on this. Everyone's sharing the information and doing this, that, and the other." And that's what they used to do back in the good old days when you had radios. So now, in all yacht racing, you basically never use an HF radio, so they don't do it. It's all satellite phones. So it's very impersonal. The entrants can't ring up all the mates on the boats and say g'day, but on the radio you can talk and everyone can listen. It's this community, which is really good. But we certainly don't give any of the entrants their positions, and no one's allowed to give the entrants their actual latitude and longitude position from the radio from shore. The entrants themselves can do it, but no one else can. So, and that's the way it always was in the early Whitbreads. No one ever knew where the other entrants were unless they got them on the radio. So all part of the fun. Snow in Yorkshire. Oh boy, what's the currents like in the Tasman in the Strait? It's generally just one load of currents, but I can, at the end of this, I'll just pull it up. So those that want to see what the currents are like in Bass Strait, I'll show you that at the end. The others can all go home. Evening from Plymouth, not a problem. Kathleen checking in from Mississippi. Yeah, happy to do the updates. Hi, Don from the dark, very frosty Kerry. Oh, jeepers. La Rochelle. Nice place. We're going to miss it. We won't be back there now. We won't be back in France until middle of March. Crazy. On which way is the distance to the finish calculated? That's a good point. The distance to the finish roughly would be calculated from the rum line rather than, so it goes two parts. That red rum line is part of it, and I couldn't tell you the exact formula for that, but it's generally in that direction towards Cape Reinga, and you can always use the measurer to give you the best part. And it could be just a simple calculation from the boat to Cape Reinga now, and then they know the distance down the back end. So it's not meant to be super accurate. We come up with this all the time. The program that's there is good. It gives you all the general information, but it's not like America's Cup stuff, and it's a generic program from Yellow Brick. We were one of the early ones to use it for round the world stuff in the Golden Globe race in 2018. And it's not really set up for that. It's easier for the Ocean Globe because it's treated as 4 separate races and legs. But if we wanted to do our own, it would cost an absolute fortune. But stand by, because we will have the Bayonet platform coming very, very soon. We're just discussing that again this week, and it's going to be fantastic when it comes online. There'll be a huge amount of extra information on that, as well as bringing all the information into one place. It's like this game panel where you can just sit there and call up anything, anytime, on all sorts of stuff, all the photos, the videos, the weather, the historical weather going backwards, any incidents that take place. It's all the data. A lot of that data is on the website now, but it's all over the place, and this brings it all into one platform, and it's a lot of work involved. It's huge. This will only be the second time it's being used. They tried it out on the Golden Globe race, and this is the big one. And we always said we have to have it up for the. We set it up and get it all operational and everything, leg 1 and 2, and then it's up for leg 3 and 4. So it's coming. Thanks, Ron. Yeah, it's getting exciting towards the finish. Believe me, it's going to turn into a boat race. I can see it now. There's lots of tactical stuff coming up. And as I said last night, there's no excuse now for any of the entrants to start talking about, oh, we didn't have the right weather information, so it was just luck of the draw. Not quite like that now. They'll all know what the weather is and when it's coming, and they'll make their own decisions and tactical bits. So, but couldn't see the updates. The updates are all on Facebook. So not sure what's going on there. Anyway, that's the finish of it. But before I do, I said I'd go back and show you the currents in Bass Strait, which I will do right now. I come over here and I'll bang this up here. And let's see what we've got here. There's some big currents on the East Coast, very famous currents. East Australian current, it's a massive one. It's over here. It's like the mini Agulhas. So Penduic's got a head current right now. You can see that, but it's not a strong one. That's probably less than half a knot or something. It could even be tidal. It's less than half a knot. So it's, less than half a knot head current. There's some bigger ones here sending them out of Bass Strait. And then I'll show you the East Australian coast current, which is a huge one. And here it is here. And so when you're the same in the Sydney Hobart, all the boats coming down, they know this is here, and they'll usually want to hook into it all the way, and they'll plot that. And there's different ways of plotting it. You can plot it before you leave. If they've got satellite, predictions coming on board, it's easy. And if you haven't got that, you can work the temperature, because this is obviously warmer here than it is over here. So you just watch your temperature sensor on your echo sounder, and you can work out when you're sitting in the current. And if you've got a GPS as well, obviously it's very easy, because you can see your speed through the water versus speed over the ground, and you hook in there and you just sit on it and you get a free ride down across here and heading down. So anyway, so there's some big ones there to keep an eye on. And then while we're here, I'll have a look at the Tasman Sea, and there's really not much. It's all pretty benign over there. That's really it. Yeah. So okay, I'll come back to here so I can sign off. I'll see you later. I press that one, and tomorrow I'll be here before we know it. Thanks.